Welcome to our first episode. We are new paradigm healers, and our focus is Ayahuasca Assisted Therapy. My name is Jessica Gooden.
And my name is Nina Izel.
And our intention is to educate, inform, and support the conscious and responsible use of ayahuasca in the Western context. This is what this series is about. In this episode, you'll get to know us a little bit better and learn how we came into contact with the Mother Ayahuasca and our first experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. So let me introduce us a little bit, and let me introduce my beautiful sister and friend, Jessica, here. And she is a daughter of a physician, and she was always curious about the spiritual aspects of life. While she grew up in a small coal mining town. Do I say it right? Coal mining town.
Yeah.
She went through some pretty intense experiences when she lost her father at the age of 19. And really with that, she lost her Christian faith as well. Her background is in graphic design. That's what she studied in the university, and she worked in advertising for almost 6 years, but she felt pretty empty and meaningless during this time, and she was searching for something, experimenting with just the usual stuff, drugs, alcohol, coming into like a darker period of her life when she considered maybe even taking her life, but hopefully, fortunately, you're healed all over the other side, sister. So it's good to hear. Cannot wait to hear about that, in more detail. How did you turn this around? I met Jessica when she came to Mexico, where I live and have my practice, and I remember the very first time I could feel her energy, just this beautiful angelic energy, and her energy signature was just like seemed to me and felt to me very familiar and very just like family and sister like. And I think you will probably hear about it later a little bit more, that we have a pretty similar kind of destiny or life path. So even though we grew up in a completely different kind of environment, but somehow the themes, and the topics of our lives and the gifts and the challenges are somehow very, very similar. So I just felt this instant connection and like knowing, which was like so nice. And also as a healer, I have this ability to recognize other people's gifts and help them to manifest them, and I could feel at the very beginning that wow, this is powerhouse of gifts wanting to explode here and flow out to nurture the world and bring love and healing. So I just feel so fortunate and honored that I could be part of this activation in some way, and that we cultivated this beautiful relationship, and we're sitting here today now doing this joint venture that I'm just so excited about and so grateful for. So this is how we met. After our meeting, we talked a lot. I remember, we were like, you were there so long time because we were just like couldn't stop talking. And she was very drawn to one of the modalities that I was working with, which is called clarity breathwork. It's a type of rebirthing. And I felt also that would be, very great for her to deepen into. So she went to the same teachers that I studied with in Costa Rica in an intentional community and an eco community where this training is. And we met there. It was so cool. I remember it was awesome that you were there, you did the training. I think the training already finished, or it was the last days or something when I got there. And yeah, that's another just long story, that was such an amazing experience. And then we get to sit in a circle with the medicine together. So, and I think that cemented everything. But even before, was just so much connection. So I'm just like so happy, you know, that you went for it, sister, and you took this huge leap of faith and completely changed your life and just followed your calling and your dreams. And after that, you were just like, okay, now nothing holds me back. And you went to the Peruvian Amazon and you worked with this amazing plant, Noya Rao, and you apprenticed at Casa Galactica, which is in Guatemala, correct? Or that's in Peru?
Peru.
Oh, it's in Peru. Okay, so it's in Peru, Peruvian Amazon, yeah. And yeah, it's just, wow, so much to say. Yoga teacher, certified yoga teacher, Reiki, a licensed massage therapist, breathwork, craniosacral, a reverend, which I didn't even know. Oh. That is so cool. Breathwork, your new website, Modern Sacred Life, is just, you know, so amazing. And it's like kind of like a melting pot of and a crystallization for everything. So we are all curious by now, I think, sister, that what brought you to the medicine, to the mother ayahuasca, and how was your first experience? So tell us a little bit about that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nina. You always give the most amazing introductions. Well, actually, you introduced me to Mother Ayahuasca because I had never heard about this, and I ended up going to this community in the forest where they had ceremonies in the Santo Daime tradition. And you said, yeah, it's totally safe. Like if I were going to go and do ayahuasca, I would go to this place. I would trust them 100%. I've done ceremonies there and you're going to have a great experience. So I was like, okay. I still don't know what ayahuasca is, but you said, oh, it's a medicine. It's a plant medicine. And I'm pretty sure that you mentioned that it was a psychedelic, but for some reason it just kind of escaped my mind because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. Like, it doesn't really sound like something I want to do right now. I didn't even pack a white dress before I left on my travels. And so when I got to the community, you know, people were saying, hey, are you going to the ceremony tonight? And I was like, I don't know, maybe. I was like, I don't have a white dress. And so someone let me borrow a white dress. And it ended up being this huge buildup of, oh, you can have this kind of experience. You can throw up in a bucket. You can, I dance all night. I end up having conversations with this bucket that I just threw up in. And I was like, what? Another lady told me that. She's like, oh yeah, I turned into a tiger. And I was like, this sounds scary. Like, I don't know that I want to participate in this. But then I heard enough people say, you know, it's really beautiful. It's in the Santo Daime tradition. Everyone wears white and all the lights are on, and you sit as a community and do a call and response, singing your prayers up to the divine. And it's like going to church. It's like connecting on a very spiritual level to God and yourself, and you can have very transformational internal journeys. And I was like, okay, that sounds more up my alley than just you can turn into a tiger. I'm like, this sounds interesting, but I don't know if I want to turn into a tiger. What if I never come back? What if I'm stuck as a tiger? So yeah, that was I had my first ayahuasca journey, and it was beautiful, and it was all about connection, and I was grateful enough, like I was blessed enough to be surrounded by my sisters and just to have the most amazing time singing with all my friends.
Mhm. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Wow. I think many people can relate to, what were you thinking before the ceremony, and, you're just heading into the unknown.
Yeah, definitely. So Nina, I would love to hear about your story, but first I'm going to give a little introduction about you. So this woman who I now have the honor to call sister, she, like you've heard before, she really inspired me to begin my path as a healer through introducing me to breath work and shamanism and, of course, the mother ayahuasca. And I met Nina in Mexico, of course, where she has her healing practice. And she practices body work, breath work, yoga therapy, movement medicine, transpersonal psychology, shamanic healing, dance, and nutrition, just to name a few. Nina, you're such an impressive woman. So it's no surprise my lost 26-year-old self was completely enchanted by you and your magical life. So as we've been developing our friendship over the past few years, here's what I've come to learn about you. You were born in communist Hungary with no religion or spirituality and full censorship. During your teenage years, there was a change of regime where you struggled with anger, confusion, and fitting in. But you found hope in two books, Osho and The Red Lion, that changed your perspective on life. In university, you majored in psychology, education, and American studies, during which you worked with intravenous drug users in the first needle exchange in Hungary. But the emotional drain of working with intense addiction was a heavy load to carry for the minimal pay. So you sidestepped into the corporate film industry for 2.5 years, where you got a very different perspective on yourself, life, and money, and what it meant to sell your soul, or what it means to sell your soul. After this powerful learning experience, and because you were disillusioned with Western medicine and mainstream psychology, you changed direction to embrace holistic therapies, Maori body work, and got your first glimpse into shamanism. At which point, you fell in love and moved to Ireland for 6 years, building up your healing practice and literally doing all the trainings you could. You left Ireland for good in 2012 to follow your life-altering calling to the mother ayahuasca, completing a dieta in the Amazon jungle of Peru. I think a lot of people can relate that you took a leap of faith to learn from experience and make all the common mistakes. Which leads me to where you are now. Nina's area of expertise is ayahuasca assisted therapy and the integration process. And you've written a book about this topic and your life, which is in the editing phase, and which we will be talking about much, much more throughout this series. And also, we'll be talking about how you're developing a training for the new generation of ayahuasca assisted therapy and integration healers, which I am very excited to be a part of. So, without further ado, I would love to hear what brought you to the mother ayahuasca and how your first experience was.
Thank you, sister, for this heartfelt and beautiful introduction. It just sounds even overwhelming to listen to it, and it's true, and it's not even the whole story. So it really seems to me I've lived like several lifetimes already. But yeah, it's all excited and good. Yeah. What brought me to the medicine? Some unquenchable thirst. I was always looking and searching for something, and at the time I don't think I understood what that was. And even when I was already in my area of healing and therapies, even within that area, I was always just learning new tools, new methodologies, new approaches, and I had this thirst to know more and to learn more, and what is the best way, what is the fastest way, what is the most effective way. So some inner drive. And I was already a practicing therapist for many years, and I used many tools to help people. When I received this email from a group that I was part of that talked about going to an expedition to the Amazon in Peru, and the purpose of this expedition would be to accelerate the awakening process with a combination of certain plants. So we dieted 5 plants. One of them was the ayahuasca, and other 4 was non-psychedelic plants. And also to create pathways for, you know, masses to come, like for the rest of the people who want to follow this avenue, this pathway. So when I received that email, I just knew that I have to go and do this. I cannot explain it in any other way. It wasn't anything logical. It was completely illogical and unrational. I mean, I had a very nice and comfortable life. I did what I wanted to do. I was really content to a certain extent. So, and I grew up in a city, and I like comfort, and my delicate body is not really cut out to jungle living. And you know, I freak out from insects, not anymore, but at that time, like spider phobia, I had spider phobia. So for me, even the idea of going to the Amazon jungle, people who knew me were like, are you crazy? Like, I mean, this is the place that I can least imagine you going. So why are you doing this? And I was like, I have no idea, but I have to. So I said to myself, I'm going to apply for this training, and they said that they're gonna select 13 people out of all the applicants, like hundreds of people who were applying, and there was like several rounds of interviews and connection calls. And I thought that, okay, if it's meant to be, they're gonna pick me, and that means that I have to go, and they did. So I gave up my whole life in Ireland, and I sold everything. I gave away everything, and one box, like I left there, and I head out to the Amazon because I felt that I don't know what will happen, but for sure I can feel that it's going to change my life completely. So I cannot commit to anything afterwards because I don't know where I'm going to be and who I'm going to be. So let's just leave it open. And I think I only had, like, after Peru, like, booked another place, you know, in the forest to kind of integrate and recover. But I didn't have really any plans. So I headed into the jungle, and with just this calling and this like complete leap of faith and this trust in myself and in that voice in myself that you have to go there, you have to do this, and you will figure out the rest afterwards. So this is how it all started. And I was very excited, and yeah, just super happy to be a part of this pioneering movement. And I felt really, really good. So it was interesting that the first ceremony that I participated in the training, it was a pretty intense, kind of horrible experience. I mean, sick as a dog, you know, really like all kinds of liquids coming out in all kinds of places, just like very uncomfortable physically in the first, 2 hours. Then I plunged into this, like, I don't know, lower astral or some like dark, deep depth of myself. And, I had just this expectation that many people have, that I'm going to talk to Jesus and God and get all my answers and just hang out in bliss for a while, and that it's going to be great. And it was nothing like that. It was a pretty intense, painful and dark experience, and also super confusing. I was like, what does this mean? Why is this happening to me? Not exactly what I wanted. So after the first experience, and in the training, we had 5 ceremonies. In like every 3 days we had a ceremony. So after the first ceremony, I was thinking, oh my God, there is 4 more of this. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. So this is just a little nutshell, like that just my first ceremony, and I just don't want to leave it like that, because I don't want to give the impression to people like nothing is good and bad. Everything is just depends on the context, right, and the understanding. But by the end of the 5 ceremonies, I had a very different experience, and I realized that it was a journey. The medicine knew that I'm not there for 1 occasion, I'm there for 5, and it was like, it made sense, in retrospect, everything that happened to me. But yeah, we go deeper into that at a later time. So yeah, just a little teaser. Thank you for asking.
Wow. I love hearing your stories. And even though I've heard this story before in a certain context, like every time I hear you tell it again, I get so much more insight into what your experience was like. So, oh my God, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, sister.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're coming to the end of our time for today. So be sure to check out our next episode where we share some super cool, miraculous personal transformation stories through our conscious work with the Mother Ayahuasca. And you can sign up for our mailing list to stay up to date about our projects and trainings at avatarhealingarts.com and modernsacredlife.com. And remember, you are the healer and love is the medicine.
Much love to you all.
Much love. Bye.
Bye.